The Radio Forest Podcast.
Ian Anderson, welcome, sir.
Well, thank you very much. It's nice to be with you.
Lemmy was a guitar player?
Lemmy was the rhythm guitar player of Reverend Black and the Rocking Vickers back in the mid-'60s. And then, of course, when he left them, he went off to play bass guitar. But he sold his white Fender Strat, and I was the next purchaser, the owner of that guitar, which I, in turn, traded in for a flute and a microphone.
Did you buy it from him, or did it go to a store and then you?
Yeah, it went to a store. I think he'd failed to pay the installments on the hire purchase agreement, so they took it away from him, I think, because he didn't pay. And then I took it on, and then after about a year, I traded it in. So it had a short history of being used by a couple of people whose names are relatively well known.
Ian Anderson from Jethro Tull, brand new album is out now, The Zealot Gene. This has like 12 songs on it. It's packed full. You've already started writing more music for possibly another Jethro Tull record?
Well, not possibly. I started actually on the 1st of January this year, as I said I would, to work on a new project, and so far I should have finished the second draft of all the lyrics last night, but unfortunately, due to things running a little over with interviews and other commitments, I didn't get it done. So I'm hoping by the end of today that I will have pretty much got it all knocked into shape, and then I will record some demos to send to the band, and hopefully we'll get things underway to do some recording on and off during the year between our many tours.
Now, this new one's not necessarily a concept album, but it does all kind of fit together, and it does have a sound running through the entire record. Is the new batch of songs completely different, or is it kind of in the same vein of Jethro Tull?
Well, I would describe the Zealot Gene as very much a concept album. It began with a single idea, which was to write a collection of songs that were each one about a powerful, strong human emotion, something about which people, as we say in the English vernacular, get their knickers in a twist. With that in mind, I wrote a list of words describing various strong emotions, bad things like hate, jealousy, greed, vengeance, and then some nice stuff like love, compassion, loyalty, companionship. You know, I recognize all these words from reading the Bible, so I decided to do an internet search on examples of those emotions in the Bible, and they served as a point of reference when I was writing the music. But all but one of the songs is really essentially about the world we live in today. I'm not really writing a series of songs that are based on the Bible. I'm just using the Bible here and there as a reference, and the same thing in the same way as if I'm writing music, then I have a lot of musical references in my 60 years or so of being listening to music. I have all sorts of things that become reference points, and that's how I work. I think most people probably do the same thing, except their frame of reference might be a little narrower than mine because they're younger, and B, they only write about one thing, which is essentially the human relationship songs of love or being out of love, which make up about 95% of all pop music and rock lyrics.
So how does the Enola Gay kind of fit into what you were just describing with this newest Jethro Tull? Is that the one song you were saying that kind of is a little bit different? No.
The one that's different is really Mine is the Mountain, which has really remained set in biblical times, and the notional trip up the mountain by Moses in search of tangible evidence that God was going to empower him to lead his followers out of Egypt into the promised land, and God is getting a little tired of being presumed upon, and says in the final stanza, mine is the power and the glory, and now for God's sake kindly leave me alone. He's getting a little cheesed off with always having things demanded of him. But I'm talking about the Old Testament God. It's not my idea of God or what God might emote, because it's curious that he seems to speak the English language and look remarkably like you or me in his Sistine Chapel appearance. But anyway, by the by, no, it's just the song Enola Gay came out of the word I wrote down, which was retribution, and it was the act by the USA to drop the only 2 nuclear weapons ever used in anger so far on the innocent civilians of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, with a view to, so we're told, bringing the war to an end, but I'm not sure that I buy that excuse. And so I likened that in some ways. It just threw up memories of Sodom and Gomorrah, and Lot and his wife being told by God to flee the city to save their skins, and Lot's wife turns to find herself turned into a pillar of salt because she dares to look behind her. And so I commented on that, and the comment of civilians turning to look at a 2,000-foot airburst over Hiroshima and being blinded or incinerated on the spot. So, there was an interesting comparison between a relatively recent historical event and one of the more gory scenes from the Old Testament.
Did you ever get any royalties from the movie Anchorman?
Well, no, and I certainly wouldn't deserve them. I always told my old chum Tony Snow, who I first met when he was a broadcaster for Fox News, and then he became the White House spokesman for George W. Bush during his tenure, before sadly he succumbed to colon cancer. And Tony and I were good buddies. He played the flute, you see, and I always thought that Anchorman was based on him, being a news presenter and playing jazz flute in his spare time. But Tony was equally convinced, you see, that I was the model for that. But I suspect in reality it's probably a bit of both. But no, it was just a lampooning thing. Who would want to be so boorish as to ask for royalties for something that is just making a bit of fun? I neither deserve any nor would conceivably want any. That's a great movie.
Ian Anderson from Jethro Tull, I appreciate you sharing with us today and spending the time talking to me.
Well, great to talk to you, and we hope to be back in the USA sometime in 2023, just as soon as we can find some available slots at venues, which are incredibly booked up after 2 years of rescheduling and same all over the world. Really hard to put things together at the moment. But anyway, great to talk to you, and I hope to see you soon.